Hi creative friends, this is Freya and thank you so much for being here. So I was asked if I could show you guys how I made these little vignettes, I call them, but they're thumbnails to strengthen my visual language. And the first thing I want to say is I really appreciate when you guys ask me to make specific videos, because a lot of times like I don't know that there's any interest for it, or you know, I don't know that like you guys might find that helpful, me sharing this. So I just want to say thank you to the person, Denise, thank you so much, who asked me to make this video, because it just helps me out so much when I get you guys' feedback. So what I did is I had, you know, just scraps of watercolor paper. So I used my paper cutter and I just randomly cut them out. Like I didn't really measure them or anything like that. They're all rectangular, but you know, you can use squares. It's totally up to you, but you know, just for me, I just wanted to make them all kind of a rectangle. And basically I just made this very unprofessional kind of just a quick little a visual of different compositional structures that you can use. And they are most like when you look at any kind of painting generally that you are drawn to, most likely it's going to have one of these 6 basic structures. Now there are other structures like the cross. I made quite a few videos on, you know, the cross. It's just so dynamic and I absolutely love using the cross. But these are your basic compositional structures. This one over here is the rule of thirds. So basically it's like if you put your lines or your shapes anywhere on these points of, you know, where the space is divided into thirds. And I hope the camera can pick up on this, you know, now I'm thinking about it. I don't even know if the camera can pick up on that, but see the rule of thirds. So basically anywhere on that, you know, the way I've divided the space into thirds, anywhere that you place a line or a shape, your eye is going to find that pleasing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my marker over here because the camera probably cannot pick up on the pencil. And this one over here is the golden spiral. And one of the reasons why we find this pleasing is, you know, this is repeated in nature in just so many different ways. Like if you look under a microscope at seashells or animals, you know, rocks, I mean, there's just an infinite array of the natural world, and they don't know why, but you know, they just kind of we're just drawn to the golden spiral. Like it's just replicated everywhere in nature, and you know, within ourselves as well. Now this one over here is a very simple one. It's a diagonal right here, and I'm just gonna kind of go like so. And this one over here is the pyramid, and this is another one that is very, very pleasing to the eye. It gives you interest, but it also has a stable base. Now it's very interesting, but if you take this pyramid, like, you know, and it's pleasing to the eye, and you tilt it just a little bit this way, it can feel very unsettling. It's just something that like throws us off kilter. So it's very interesting. And this one over here is called the L shape. I don't particularly like it very much. I tend to gravitate towards specific ones, and everyone's going to be very different. And this one is the S curve. And so, you know, when you are looking at a painting, you can take it apart a lot of times and try to figure out like the compositional elements of how it was constructed. So that's just your basics. Now there are other compositional ones like the cross I mentioned. I really love that one. And the other thing I'm going to mention, because I don't want to go too much into this right now, but the other thing I want to mention is that if you don't kind of arrange your elements in a pleasing way, it can really throw things off. And when I say like like in an unpleasing way to the eye. So certain things, like just say like, you know, you have your little, like you have your little square and you put like all your shapes are just like crowded into one area and then there's nothing in the other parts of your square. That might feel like really, really unsettling. That would not probably be a good composition. Now, of course, the masters, they break all the rules. They know the rules, they have mastered the rules, and then they break them. But, you know, I don't think I would do something like that because I wouldn't know how to make it look pleasing. There are lots of ways that we can kind of make things unbalanced. Like one of the things I talked about is the pyramid. If you just take it and just tilt it a little bit off kilter so this base is not solid, it can feel really, really unsettling. And so you're not going to want to look at that because it's kind of even maybe a subconscious thing, like you just don't want to look at it for any period of time because it just makes you feel too unsettled. So I hope I'm explaining that in an easy to kind of understand way. So I'm just going to put a blank piece of paper, you know, so it's not distracting. But I tend to gravitate towards like certain compositions like over and over and over again. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just dividing this space. And this is, there's no, you know, yeah, like sure, I just showed you like, you know, the main classical compositional structures, but there's no like hard and fast rule. The whole point of doing this is that you break the rules, you push yourself, and you know, you can try out like all sorts of different compositions. So this is one of my favorites. It's like, I just love it. It's the spiral one that I showed you. And you can also like vary these. So this is like the spiral that I showed you. I'm so drawn to it. I love it. And it's just one of my all-time favorites. So I'm just dividing the space, and I'm probably going to have to make this video in 2 parts, I'm thinking. But so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of like make a little kind of a structure here. And so I don't know if the camera can pick up on that, but I'm just, so basically I'm just using a very thin pencil. You know what? I'm going to use a just a darker pencil. Like normally you would want to use a very light pencil, but the camera can't pick up on that. So I'm just going to, you know, for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to use my Stabilo here because I want the camera to pick up on it. So basically I'm just kind of making my little shapes, and I am not using a lot of colors. Like I do have, like, you know, there's red and gold, which is, you know, fairly bold, but for the most part, I'm not using a whole bunch of colors because I want to explore like my values. I want to explore, you know, my composition. Not that I'm not exploring my color, because color is a big part of visual language, but for me personally, I'm so into color. Like color is such a big deal for me that I want to strengthen other parts of my visual language as well. But for somebody else, like they might want to explore color more. So it's all up to you. Like there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just for me, I'm so drawn to color, but I need to strengthen other parts of my visual language. So over here, I'm just gonna kind of, you know, I'm just making like interesting shapes, and I'm trying not to replicate stuff that I've done in this, in these little vignettes here. So I'm just gonna go like that. And I'm gonna do the cross because it's something I do like. So I do like that composition very much so. Actually, my Healing Ancestral Trauma art journal, that whole, you know, the whole thing started off with the cross composition. So let me see here. So I'm gonna do the pyramid, And I'm gonna combine the pyramid with the curve. So, oh, I don't know if I like that very much. It feels a bit, see, this is a good example actually. So see the base, so this is a pyramid, and then the base I made into a curve, and it just looks very unsettling to me. Like, I don't like it. Like, I don't like it at all, actually. And that's a very good example of what I meant when I said, you know, when the pyramid is flat, then like, it's so unsettling to me. Like, I really want to I want to erase it. Like, this is what I mean, you guys. This is a great example. So if the pyramid is not stable, okay, it feels very unsettling. Like, I didn't even want to leave that alone for a minute. Now it's different, see, because do you see how now that's different? Because it's got a base. So yeah, that's a good example actually that I didn't even plan. That just kind of happened, but I'm glad it did. So yeah, composition is very important, you guys. It is, you know, honestly, everything is really important. Value is really important. Color is really important. Composition is really important. That's why that's why, you know, we have to strengthen all different parts of our visual language. And let me just kind of see here. I don't want to do anything too wonky. So I'm going to do the L shape, although that's not one of my favorite ones, honestly. And so I'm just going to add, okay, that's not too bad. I don't mind that one when I added that oval there. And then I am going to do maybe a rule of thirds. I like the rule of thirds, actually. It's very comforting to me. And do another that's a diagonal mixed with a curve. And this is just a plain Jane one, but we'll see what happens with that. And now you noticed I did not use the S curve. I do not like that one. I don't know. It's not that I don't like it. It's just not something that appeals to me. And I really love my curves. So I'm going to do another curve. And I think I'm going to combine the curve with, just to make it like interesting. So now that I have all of these here, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to get out my palette. Now, I'm not using a lot of colors. I am just using my cashew, my gold, you know, probably my Payne's gray, and maybe a red, maybe a yellow, but I'm just going to stick to very neutral colors. So as you can see, I just, you know, made all my little vignettes over here, and now I am going to I'm probably just gonna get out a pen and just kind of just, you know, darken some of these lines here, just because one of the things I'm exploring right now are lines. And what I am doing, this is a good, I hadn't planned on showing you guys this, but I did another video on Egon Schiele, but I absolutely love his lines. So I am really looking at his lines, and I'm kind of isolating his lines and just looking at, you know, parts that I like what do I like about it? You know, is it the curve? Is it the jagged? Like, I love that jagged part. I'm just like really isolating things, and I'm trying to see how I can take parts of these lines and just make them my own. So that's why I am using, you know, that's why I'm making these lines, because I'm really trying to explore my lines. So when you guys are making this, you know, try to figure out and say, hey, what do I really want to focus on? Do I want to focus more on color? Do I want to focus more on values? Do I want to focus more on composition? And you can pick one or two things. I wouldn't pick like a lot of things because it can get a bit overwhelming. But, you know, certainly in the beginning, like, you know, so to kind of color, I want to keep my color to a more neutralized palette, and I'm focusing more on, I'm not even really focusing on composition. I'm focusing on my lines and my values. I talked about composition because it's, you know, it's important how we divide our space, but I'm not really focusing that much on, you know, I just picked lines and values, but you can pick color and values, or line and color, or whatever it is. But like I said, I wouldn't pick like all of them, you know, all the elements of art. That one might be too much. So yeah. So anyways, okay, you guys, so what I'm going to do is I am just going to kind of solidify these, and then I think what I will do is I will make a second part, and that way if you guys are following along, then you can, you know, make all these like little vignettes, and you can use any paper. I just happen to have some really good watercolor paper that were just kind of pieces of paper that I just cut, you know, I just cut them up. But you can use any paper, really. Okay, you guys, so thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!